Whitmore is the Chief Security Intelligence Officer at Palo Alto Networks, and she is joining us here on the trade floor of the New York Stock Exchange. It is great to have you. The theme of cybersecurity, the evolving threats, the landscape. Crucial time for a conversation like this. Really grateful for your time.
Happy to be here.
So let's start. I'm really curious how you sort of diagnose right now the landscape. What do you see as being the balance of power between hackers and defenders in 2025? What do you see you think we should pay more attention to?
You know, it's a great question. I've been in this field for 25 years at this point, and it has never been more. Today, what we're seeing is the wild, wild west. And I don't think that I would have thought I would have told you that previously because it's always seemed like that. And so what are we seeing? We have a unique vantage point. We're the largest cybersecurity company in the world. We're protecting 95 of the top 100 companies in the world. And what we see is that more and more attackers are interested in disruption. So intentional business disruption, taking systems offline. And that becomes a problem because it relates to national security when you see economic innovation and growth being disrupted because you have healthcare systems or financial institutions impacted.
Has that balance shifted? And are there more pernicious threats that you see evolve here so far in 2025 than maybe had you and I been having this conversation September of last year?
So what I would say is really different. And I think these numbers really paint a picture that might be a bit staggering for some of your viewers. What we see is 31 billion attacks per day. And this is coming into just our company alone. And 9 million of those are new. So net new attacks that we've seen every day. So the reality is that with the advent of AI, that's fueling this growth and scale, and then the ability to create these new attacks. The great news is, though, that because we're leveraging AI in our defenses, we're now able to dwindle that to one attack per day that our teams are actually reviewing, human in real time, saying, okay, how do we prevent this?
Are there particular critical sectors, things like healthcare, financials, I wonder, that you think may be inherently a bit more vulnerable than others?
Well, not necessarily more vulnerable. That's a great question, but more, subject to being attacked. Yes, absolutely. And you identified some of the key ones being healthcare, financial services, critical infrastructure. And I mentioned national security. That's a big concern, making sure that we keep telecom, water supply, electrical grid safe from these types of attacks.
What does the landscape of disinformation and deepfakes look like? I got to imagine that is really something that could trip up a lot of businesses because ultimately, oftentimes you're trying to trip up an individual who works at that business to expose a larger vulnerability.
I think what you're really getting at is that humans are still, behind the core of every business we run, right? And so we are definitely seeing attackers who are focused on the human and the social engineering impacts. Phishing, for example. So sending emails that look very legitimate, but cause the user to click on a link that then may cause their business to be susceptible to an attack. That's still happening more than ever. And AI is certainly helping fuel that moving forward.
Yeah. What most excites you about where AI is right now to help the so-called good guys? And what are the biggest challenges you see about that same technology falling into the wrong hands?
I think that's probably the most pivotal question we get asked on a daily basis, and we're all struggling with it, right? On the defense side, the reality is AI is a double-edged sword. So it has enabled attackers to move faster. In our labs, we've done research that shows attacks that used to take months. So a ransomware attack, for example, that can exfiltrate data and command payment on the back end, used to take months to execute. That can now happen in as little as 25 minutes. That said, I'm an optimist and I will continue to be despite being, responding to breaches for so long. And that's because we see at this point, 60% of our customers are now able to respond, not just detect an attack, but respond to it in under 1 minute. That's incredible. That type of time transaction now really enables our organizations to be more successful, and it causes defense to be much more powerful.
Yeah, I think the general conversation of defense, Wendy, it's picked up a lot more in the corridors of Washington, D.C. We've heard lawmakers in Congress, both parties, really address to the forefront how crucial they feel this issue is. We've heard that from various administrations as well. Do you feel as if the conversation from the regulators and the policymakers in a place like Washington are where they should be to adequately address the current threat landscape and the nature of those threats?
Well, I think the good thing is that this discussion is on, the tips of tongues of everyone around the world, right? Including everyone you mentioned, regulators, policymakers. We're engaged in those conversations so often. And what are most passionate about is ensuring that we're doing everything as a nation and with our allies across the world to make our systems as safe as they can be.
What new metrics do you think businesses should use, if they're not already, to better track real-time cyber resilience, simply beyond compliance? I have no doubts there's cool tools of the tool belt that companies can be and probably should be introduced to pretty regularly.
I love your question because you highlighted resilience. That is the win, right? It's not the win isn't that we never get attacked. That's unrealistic in today's day and age. The win is how quickly can we detect the attack? How quickly can we respond? And how quickly can we contain it? And if you can respond to an attack in under 10 minutes, you are then decreasing the time window for an attacker to be successful and ensuring that your organization is going to be successful at containing the damage. And that's really the win.
If you had any advice for viewers to better protect their digital lives, maybe this is a bit more anecdotal for the personal viewer who's watching at home, but any kind of tips of the trade, best tricks to keep in mind here for 2025?
Absolutely. So I think applying some of the same things that we apply proactively in how do we secure businesses. So thinking about making your accounts more difficult for an attacker to get into with multi-factor authentication. What is that? That's oftentimes a text message or maybe the use of another app to authenticate a code that enables you to have a digital deadbolt for your banking applications, your email, your social media accounts. That is going to make you exponentially more secure than people aren't using that.
Yeah, and I'd assume password 123 is not the most secure password you can possibly have. Before I let you go, talk to me a bit about Palo Alto's current predictions that you see for the rest of this year, maybe into next year. Top trends in the general cybersecurity or cyber defense realm that you're paying attention to, they think we may want to pay a bit more attention to also.
Well, I know AI is already top of mind for everyone, so that's great. Let's keep it there because we need to secure those systems. And we need to secure them from the beginning, right? Secure by design, not security as an afterthought. But one thing that maybe not everyone's talking about yet is quantum computing. And we think that although we're a few years off from having quantum computers ready and available, we certainly need to be thinking about how we protect our data from them moving forward. There's a concern that attackers are stealing data so that they can decrypt it later. So we need to make sure that quantum readiness technology is being built into all of the tooling. And if you're a business out there, make sure you're talking to your computer security providers about it. They should be providing those solutions.
What a crucial time to talk about these really important solutions. Wendi Whitmore, Palo Alto Networks, I'm very grateful for your time. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Jay.